Oh, I just realized that my audio wasn't on. I was muted over here. Okay. Well, what I was just saying was, everyone join, get settled, fill up your water, get comfortable. We're going into a 90-minute workshop here, right? So we're going to dig into the importance of goal setting. We're going to talk about the importance of accountability. I'm going to share some of my earlier goals and where I am in relation to them. Andrea is going to do the same. And then there's going to be dedicated time for everyone to work. So, like I said, I'm just going to give everyone one more minute. I'm kind of a believer in like, if you're 5 minutes late, you're on time, whether that's good or bad, or you agree or disagree with me. That's kind of where we all are, right? We're jumping from one meeting to the next, one thing to the next. And yeah, I am thankful that you all are joining us on this Thursday morning and taking 90 minutes out of your day to dig into this. Cool. We're right about 5 minutes over here, so I am going to jump in. So, I know a lot of you that are here with us today know Andrea and I one way or another, right? A lot of you are on the newsletter, you follow us on social, maybe you're in an existing coaching program. But for those of you that don't know us, a little bit more about Andrea and I. So, Andrea and I have worked together for, I want to say, 10 plus years now. If you attend my events, I always say my timelines are a little bit skewed and funky. 10 years, maybe 12 years. We've worked together for a very long time. So, through Harlow, specifically, we have helped hundreds of coaching clients double, triple, and quadruple their revenue. We help people in a number of other ways. Like I mentioned, we have the newsletter, we have the job board, we have a freelance Kickstarter course, we have an all-in-one product, and we do periodic events like these ones to help our crew work through very specific pain points, right? And before Harlow, before we're actually building up this ecosystem, this home for freelancers, Andrea and I actually built our own service-based business. So we've done it. We've been in it, right? So we built that business up to 1 million plus per year and built it from the ground up, built it from scratch. Before that, and even through that, Andrea and I have been a core part of developing the marketing and sales processes for other companies as well, right? Some of those tech companies that have gone on to reach unicorn status, 1 billion plus valuations. So all of that to say, Andrea and I are very well versed in setting goals, building plans to achieve those goals, and reflecting and recalibrating to stay focused, right? So you don't achieve these things without having the foundation that builds you up to achieve them. And Andrea, I'll let you chime in there if you want to add anything else to our introductions.
No, that was great. That's perfect. We're just excited to be here today and yeah, share with you guys where we are.
Yes. So a little bit more what you can expect today. I teed us up a little bit for this. So we're going to go through why goal setting matters, right? Why even do this? The problem with a lot of goal setting and why I actually developed our own framework and template that both Andrea and I and a number of our coaching clients, peers use now to set our goals. We're going to talk through the importance of accountability. So obviously why we're here today and what we're working through. And then Andrea and I are both going to share our H1 look backs, right? So the reflections that we have gone through in the past weeks to understand, what we originally set out to do in the beginning of the year, where we are now, and where we are recalibrating. And then we're going to go into dedicated working time for everyone else here, right? So we're going to have dedicated reflection time and then also dedicated planning time. After that, we're going to introduce you to one of our programs. It's actually Andrea and I's favorite program that we've ever built. So we're going to spend a little time talking about that. And then we're going to go into a Q&A. So at the end, there will be plenty of time to ask questions. I will say though, if questions come up as we're going through this, drop them in the chat, drop them in the Q&A. Feel free as we go along to introduce yourself, chime in, get active there, say hello to everybody. That chat and Q&A is here for you all to interact with one another, but also to make sure that we're answering your questions at the end as we go through this. Okay. Why goal setting matters. Um, Here's the thing. I have been through a lot of different goal setting frameworks, a lot of different goal setting templates, right? Some of them good, some of them bad. But at the very core, why goal setting matters, it's because without aligning ourselves to the why, we start on paths that aren't intentional, right? We start with the why we want to accomplish things, then what we want to accomplish, and then we set on the path to go do that. Without the foundation of the why or the what, we are typically just kind of moving aimlessly, right, in a direction that may or may not make sense and may or not make us feel happy or fulfilled, right? So personally, I really want my life to be intentional. I'm very big on intention. I want to focus on the things that matter and for the right reasons. So that's why I set goals across my life and my business. And that's one thing that I really want to call out here too, is that goal setting is about your business. Yes, we obviously want to set goals. We want to be reasonable. We want to figure out what we want to accomplish, but it's also about setting goals across your life. What do you really want your life to look like, right? Everyone here knows that our lives and our businesses are so interconnected and ingrained. If you don't set goals in both places, one can take over the other. And Andrew and I will actually get really deep into this when we go
Yeah.
into our reflections, because it's something that we have realized that we even need to be more intentional about and more focused on. Um, so all of this to say, that's why goal setting is important. And when I was first going out to create my own goals to figure out how I wanted to set the foundation for my life, my business, I went through a lot of different frameworks. Some of them were too complex. Some of them, were too light. I really couldn't find something that worked for me. So I actually went out and I created my own system. So, like I mentioned, the problem with a lot of the goal setting systems that was trying to use, they were too overwhelming, right? Complex frameworks, too much to write down. They didn't serve me, or there wasn't enough depth, right? Like, I can't just say, here are my three top things for the year and then figure out how to move forward on those, right? We need a little bit more depth than that. For me, a lot of the goal setting frameworks I'd used in the past had been very business specific, right? So when Andrew and I were at a company called Campaign Monitor, we used this method called the V2 Mom. But it was just about business. And I wasn't actually setting goals in my personal life and thinking about what I wanted those things to look like, as interconnected as they are, right? A lack of regular accountability and reflection, right? It's one thing to say that you're going to do something, that you want to focus somewhere, that that's what you want to build your life around. It's another thing to actually check in and make sure that you're doing that, right? I think so many of us have gone through the process of, setting goals in January, setting our intentions, and then we never look back, right? So that doesn't work. That doesn't keep us intentional. It doesn't keep us on the right path. And then no system for course correction, right? So kind of all of that, goals set once and forgotten, no system for course correction, that kind of all rolls up into the accountability piece, right? And why that is so, so important as we talk about how we set our goals, how we stay aligned to them, and how we course correct moving forward. So here is kind of high level the goal setting framework. And if you were with us on the workshop in January, you saw this in a lot more depth. I am going to send out the actual framework and template after the event. So don't worry if you are looking, like if you're starting goals from scratch today, that's totally fine. I will give you that template. If you just want it so that you can create your goals, in the beginning of next year, you can have it for that reason too. But my goal setting framework is really a simple but powerful system, right? So you spend the time deeply reflecting on the previous year. There are guiding questions to help you do so. Then, out of all those reflections, we define what we want to take forward and what we want to leave behind. Then we create a guiding word and empowering phrase. So this is really what guides everything that rolls up into it, right? This is like our leading intention, what we want our life and our business to really look and feel like. Then we break our goals into life categories. What I do is I share publicly for accountability, obviously through this workshop, and I also publish on the Harlow blog post. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I encourage you to at least share those goals, whether it's with your peers, your team, your partner, your friends, whoever it is, right? Like saying things out loud and having other people around us keeping us accountable, I think is a really powerful method here. And then we do regular check-ins and course corrections. And again, that's why we're here today, right? To do that check-in, do that reflection and pivot and figure out where we need to recalibrate. So today is all about staying accountable, right? So what I was just talking about, this accountability piece, there are two things that I do. So I do a monthly check-in. So a quick review of progress, where I am I focused on the right things? I identify blockers. What do I need to remove to actually help me move forward with intentionality? Celebrate wins. This is huge, right? We create goals. We follow through with them. Sometimes we meet them and we often don't take the time to look back and actually celebrate what we're accomplishing, right? So we're going to actually do a little bit of that today. I think Andrea and I both have some things to celebrate, which is great that we're going to share with you in hopes that you will also celebrate your own goals and where you're absolutely crushing it, right? This is one, yes, focused on recalibration and figuring out our path moving forward, but also it's to celebrate what we've already accomplished, right? If we set a goal in the beginning of the year and we're meeting it, hell yeah. We want to own that, right? And then from there, we adjust tactics if needed. So that's the monthly check-in piece. I do that about once a month, right? I go deep into my finances, I go deep into my personal life. I check on, what am I doing? Am I spending time on the right things? Am I heading in the right direction? And then what I do in the mid-year and why we're here today again is this deep dive, right? So a comprehensive review of all the categories that I created, and we'll jump into Andrea and I's categories in just a minute. A deep financial check-in. So one of my categories is always around money and business growth. So I actually measure myself really deeply and honestly around if I'm meeting those goals or not. Relationship assessments, right? Am I, treating the people on my list well? Am I working towards the things with people well? Is my team and I working well? Are Andrea and I working well, right? Like what is going on here? Because like relationships are really like the foundation for what pushes us forward, right? A lot of that peer, partner, co-founder, business partner, that support really, really matters, right? And then of course correction and major adjustments if needed. And I'm really excited to dig into my reflections here in a minute because I identified some very big adjustments that I personally need to make moving forward in the year to create sustainability in my business and my personal life.
As did I. So I think this is
Yeah.
your permission. You will definitely hear this as a common theme today. This is your permission to just take a deep breath and be okay when you look back and say, I'm not quite where I thought I was going to be or wanted to be. That's totally fine. That's why we're here. That's why we're recalibrating. And I definitely had to do that this year. So the reflection for me, I'm not as good at the monthly check-ins as Sam is, but this, which you'll see that come up also, but this mid-year deep dive has really been empowering for me. So I just want to encourage you all to take a minute to do that for yourself and be gentle if maybe you didn't hit the goals that you set out initially. There's still half the year left.
There's some level of like vulnerability, even if it's just with ourselves, right? Even if we're not sharing this mid-year deep dive with anybody else except ourselves, there's a vulnerability to saying, I'm not on the right track. I'm not doing the right things. I'm not focusing in the right places. Whoa, I've been way off track, right? Like it's really hard to kind of get into that mode and settle into it and be vulnerable with yourself or others, but it's so important. I mean, I'm going to be very vulnerable and honest with you all in a couple minutes, as is Andrea, like she said, on like where we lost, right? Like where we absolutely did not hit or have not been acting against our goals or in just alignment with who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. So use today as that time to get vulnerable and get honest with yourself. But like Andrea said, be gentle because again, the other half of this is identifying that and then we build a plan to fix it, right? And that's okay. So we're going to go into Andrea and I's goals, right? So what we originally set out to do, starting kind of from top to bottom, right? So what our guiding words and phrases were and what that means to us. We're going to go into the categories that we created underneath that. And then we're actually going to take you through, I'm going to take you through two categories of mine. So my goals and then my reflections. And then my plan moving out of this, what I am focusing on for the remainder of the year. And then Andrea's going to take you through one of her categories as well. So Andrea, why don't you talk about your guiding word and phrase first and like what that means to you and what your goals are supposed to
Sure.
roll up into?
Yeah, I set out this year really wanting, I think flow was just a great word for what I wanted. I wanted the ease and abundance that you have, Sam,
Mhm.
but I wanted it to feel more natural. And I will say this year has felt anything but easy and in flow. That being said, so my guiding word is still very aspirational for me. I don't feel like I've embodied it. However, I will say with my guiding phrase, my intention was to try and remove some of these barriers, whether self-imposed or externally, and focus on growth. And that is something that I feel like I have stayed true to that spirit in how I've been operating this year. So I would say like life transpired this year in a way that I wasn't expecting. And so what I had planned at the beginning of the year isn't my reality this year. I had a lot of personal roadblocks. So for me, I just need to readjust my expectations. And flow might just be aspirational this year, not something that I actually get to live in. But we move through it.
Yeah, I love that I love that you say that's like this aspirational goal, right? Because one of the things that I talk about a lot is, we set goals within like a year and then we check in on them monthly and we check in half year. But really, this is like a timeline that we're putting on ourselves, right? It's self-imposed. And so just because, like Andrea is saying, she's like, at the beginning of the year, I really did want to feel flow, right? And I want to stay in this current of growth. But all of these other things have come up and I've had to pivot and I've had to shift and I have to shift, how I'm viewing this. That happens in a lot of our lives, right? We might have big, lofty, aspirational goals in January, and then life happens, right? So just because you're not meeting flow 6 months into the year doesn't mean that you're not going to be meeting flow in 3, 6, 9 months from now, right? So keep that in mind too as we think about like our goals and how we move forward, that these are self-imposed deadlines that we are putting on ourselves. And it's good because it gives us something to work against. But Andrea, your year of the word next year might also be flow, and
It might,
it might be like a current progression, an ongoing progression to actually get there.
yeah,
And I think that ties into mine as well. My words at the beginning of the year were abundance and ease, right? So my life and business will feel abundant, purposeful, and easeful, bringing me peace and confidence. I will say that I think I've really leaned into abundance. I am feeling that right now. I'm feeling abundance financially. I'm feeling abundance, a lot of fun in my life, a lot of travel. I'm not necessarily feeling ease. And I'll go into that in a minute, but I think Andrea and I, honestly, we've experienced a lot of growth for the business this year. We have experienced a lot of unexpected life events. And so while growth is happening and abundance is happening and these great things are happening financially, I am losing ease in other parts of my life. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute and talk more about that. So, I'd say like half of my guiding words and phrases I've kind of met, and the other half, things like abundance, purposeful, confidence, check, check, check. Things like ease and peace, no.
yeah.
Not, not there yet. And that's okay, right? But you'll see both in Andrew and I's recalibrations that we talk about how we're going to get back to that and what that looks
Yep.
like. Okay, categories. Andrew, I'll let you jump into yours.
Yep. So, I start this framework thinking about from, how am I going to get through the year first? So money is obviously always at the top for me. How am I going to pay my bills? This is one of the challenging things about the life that we choose, right? Is that it's not always a consistent income. So for me, because I'm a planner, this is always my top category. Personal coming into this year, personal wellness was really high on my list, my relationship, family, personal growth, Harlow. What's interesting is that as the events of the year have transpired, while I would say these are still the categories I deeply care about, the priority has really shifted for me. I've had to focus a lot more on my family this year than I was anticipating. And so all of my energy is going there, and some of the other categories are definitely feeling it. So that's been kind of an interesting shift for me, and a realization as I came back to look at my goals for this year is like, oh, these are still the right categories. Absolutely. It's just the priority has shifted, and the underlying goals inside probably need to shift a little bit as well. I'm a realist. So it's like we just
Yeah.
need to be realistic about what we can actually do.
1000%. I know that you're going to go into that later
Yeah.
too, right? You're like, okay, I started this year and I had all these big aspirations, all these things I wanted to accomplish. And each one is a great time to say, okay, what is actually realistic? What do I need to prioritize? What are
Yeah.
the one or two things in every category that I can push forward,
Yeah.
right? My categories mirror Andrea's quite a bit. Money, obviously, which includes Harlow for me and Andrea. Boundaries. So this is a big one that I'm going to dig in today. I usually have a boundaries category every single year, whether it's personal or work. This year it was work boundaries, and I will say this is a big area that I am missing. Physical wellness is a big category for me. So for me, physical wellness and my mental and physical health is the foundation that lets me accomplish everything else. And so mine is actually out of order in terms of it here, in terms of what it is in like my actual document. In my document, it goes physical wellness, boundaries, money, and then fun. I put money and boundaries leading here because those are the two that I'm going to dig into with you all today. And then fun is for me, right? So I'm a big believer. If you look at any of my social profiles, if you know me personally, I'm a fun lover. I'm always on the go. I'm always doing things. I believe that money is my path to fun, right? Like I make money, I build businesses, I do these things, yes, because I love them, but also because they fuel my life outside of that, right? It's like part of it is a means to an end. I make money, I help people. That makes me feel really good and fulfilled. But I do that because I also want to have fun and enjoy my life, right? So you will find no like growth at all cost, hustle culture talk between Andrea and I. We're not necessarily believers in that. We are believers in sprinting when it's important to accomplish things and get things done. But we're also big believers in sustainability and, running the long-term marathon. And to do that, I have to be having fun. Okay. I'm going to go into my first category here. And one of the things I will tell you, and Andrew and I chat about this a lot, is like sharing financial numbers out loud. I have before, and sometimes I haven't. So, what I'm doing here is I'm blocking out all the numbers. If you want to have a personal conversation with me about what my revenue targets are for Harlow, my personal, my savings, all of those things, I am happy to share those numbers. I often do on social. I block them out here because this is really about how I'm setting goals and how I'm measuring myself, not the exact numbers that I'm trying to hit. And I'll go into that in a minute. But when I set my goals at the beginning of the year, my guiding phrase was money will come to me with abundance and ease. I know exactly how to double down on those levers, right? So I have a Harlow revenue target, which is a monthly revenue target that it was actually my goal to hit it by Q4. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I have a personal revenue target. So this is actually my total take home revenue. Many of you know this, but Andrea and I actually I would say that we have portfolio careers. So we make money in a number of different ways, Harlow being one of those ways, the business that we run. But we also consult, we also invest. Our ecosystems are complex. So this is my personal revenue target through all revenue channels for me. I had a savings target. So this year for me was big on investing back into my savings and planning for the future. And then I had targets created for each of kind of Harlow's uh, products or ecosystems, right? So we make money in a lot of different ways at Harlow. We make money through sponsorships and through coaching and job board and all these like, courses and all of these different ways. And so I had a goal to actually make a certain amount for each of those areas of the business and then what I wanted to pay myself from the business. And then my consulting business goals, so how much I actually want to bring in from consulting, and then other revenue goals, like I said, rental income, compounding interest, money growth, all of these things. So this is what my goals looked like at the beginning of the year. One of the great things that was a really nice reflection for me is that I am actually meeting and exceeding a lot of these goals. And if you have attended these events in the past, that has not necessarily been the case, right? Andrea and I started a business from scratch. We went a long time without paying ourselves and building this thing up. And we're finally starting to see like the fruits of that labor, which is really, really amazing. But a few things here, Harlow actually in H1 has exceeded all of last year's total revenue. So, and actually beat it by 46% over last year's number. So, Andrea and I have had a serious celebration lately to like really own and embrace that. My personal revenue is hitting and exceeding my target, which is great. I'm putting away very consistently into savings, at least $5,000 a month, sometimes more than that. So, really focusing on building up my future. We're hitting Harlow business goals for certain products. Others are still in early development and testing, and that's okay. We knew that not everything can happen and grow at once. So what we're doing is really focusing on, maintaining the products that are hitting and exceeding our goals, and then really figuring out, what we're going to do in those other products to get them to meet their goals. Um, One of the things that I will call out here is I actually haven't paid myself at the original rate that I wanted to from Harlow, but that's intentional. That's a recalibration. That's a pivot on our part. Andrea and I have been very focused on reinvesting back into the business, which has led to that first win and celebration, right? Like if we would have paid ourselves out through the business, we wouldn't have been able to invest back into the business in a way that's letting us meet and exceed last year's revenue already, right? So this has kind of been like a constant push and pull on what do we pay ourselves now versus what do we invest back in the business to create future growth, right? But the great news is that my consulting is on track and actually exceeding the monthly income I originally planned. So that's actually making up for me not paying myself through Harlow. And other income streams, rental income has stayed really consistent. And anyone who's invested in the market knows that those accounts have been bouncing all over the place with the ups and downs of the market and a lot of different economic factors that are outside of my control. So obviously, there's no fault on me for that. But going through this was such a great reflection for me. Like being halfway through the year and realizing and understanding that I am exceeding my financial goals, not only personally, but also for the businesses that I'm running, was such a great relief. And honestly, that does bring a lot of confidence into my life and a little bit of ease too, right? Like having this part really nailed down means so, so much. Here's something, another category that I did not have nailed down. So we just went through my finances, how we're meeting and exceeding and doing great in all of these different areas. Do you know where I'm really not doing well? Work boundaries.
I
And
do, because I get slacks from you at 7 a.m.
and I am not a 7 a.m. slacker. This should not be me. At the beginning of the year, I mentioned earlier when we talked through our categories that, my categories actually went physical wellness, which is physical and mental wellness, boundaries, money, and then fun. So what I set out at the beginning of the year was to put this before monetary gain, and I did not do that. And I'll be very, very honest about that, right? So my guiding phrase here was I will deliver exceptional value without sacrificing my well-being. And I do believe that I have delivered exceptional value. I have sacrificed my well-being, my time, my boundaries to do that. And one of the things that I will say is that, and I'll go into my reflections on this in a minute, but I'm okay with that because of the gains that I've made. I think the first half of the year was really a big sprint for me, and I dedicated my time and my energy very hard to pushing forward the business and my other monetary goals, but this did slide. So, in the beginning of the year, I wanted to have capped working hours. So 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily max capacity. I wanted to have no Slack or email responses before or after working hours, which Andrea just called me out on. So you know that that is not true. That did not happen. No promise of delivery or review same or next day for anybody in my world, whether that's Andrea, whether that's anybody on our team, whether that's consulting clients. Um, that did not remain consistent, and I'll dive into that in a second. And I wanted to remove myself as a bottleneck from the team. So, one, they don't rely on me for same day review or feedback, but two, so that I can empower them to execute and deliver without nuanced guidance from me. So, my reflection, this is a lot of words, so don't like worry about reading it, but I wanted to get it all in here so that when I give you the slides after this, you can kind of see and dig in. Capped hours didn't hold, right? So like I said, we intentionally went into sprint mode at the beginning of the year, and there've been a lot of days where I've been working late into the evening or really early in the morning to get things done and push. And that's not what I set out to do, but it's what I chose to do. Same story with Slack and email. Sorry to anybody on my team. My expectation is never that you're reviewing those Slacks or that emails when I'm sending it, but alas, they have come early in the morning, late at night. I've also fallen into a really, really bad routine where I wake up and I check my email and my Slack. And I go to bed and I check my email and my Slack. And I do not like that for me. That is something that I'm going to focus on shifting. Um, I have done a lot of quick turnarounds with the team, right? So A lot of times I'll promise 24-hour turnarounds or quick turnarounds to consulting and coaching clients because they're in the middle of really important things and I want to make sure they have the support that they need. But I'm really working to get out of that pattern and change expectations in different areas of my business, and the being the bottleneck, right? So this is a big, big focus for me. Andrea and I have been having a lot of conversations about this lately. I am the bottleneck in my business. I am the bottleneck in our business. I review all the content, I give approval on a lot of things. And so what I'm really focused on is building out more SOPs, building more processes, building more guides, giving the team the information that they need up front to onboard well, represent the brand well, so they don't have to rely on me for same day input. And so I don't have to review everything before it comes out. And one of the things that I will say is that some of this comes down to growth, right? So in the beginning of the year, our team and business looked different than it does today, right? So since I set these goals, we've added roughly four, maybe five new people who are supporting on the Harlow side. I brought on 15 plus, this might be 20 now, new coaching clients. I've picked up a new consulting client. And so there's been this incredible, incredible path of growth, bringing on people to support us. But sticking to these boundaries gets harder as the business grows and as the people supporting it grows. And so part of this is I'm working through what the new norm looks like. And it's been this, again, this intentional sprint to get to the other side where I can go back into boundary and marathon mode. So overall, my story is, I'm ending the first half of the year with a mixture of pride and honesty and vulnerability, right? So Harlow's growth this year has exceeded what we set out to do, and that's incredible. And I am celebrating that so hard. And I know, a lot of people around me are celebrating that too. And that makes me really, really happy. But I'm also recalibrating what I'm sacrificing and doing to get to that level of growth and success, right? So for me, heading into H2, I want to keep this growth. I want to keep this momentum, but I do want to come back and recalibrate against my boundaries and how I'm actually going to run this business sustainably for the next 6 months, year plus, right? Year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? Like I cannot be checking Slacks at 7 a.m. and checking Slacks at 8 p.m. if I'm going to continue to stay in the business and creative and focused. So all of this I'm choosing to see as useful information, right? This reflection is me being really vulnerable with you all, with myself. And it's just information. I'm not necessarily failing. I probably said that word, right? But what I'm doing is I'm reviewing, I'm looking, I'm seeing how it feels, and I'm recalibrating, right? And that's the whole point of checking in halfway through the year. I will say, if I would not have gone through this process, I would have continued to let my boundaries slide for the next 2, 3, potentially 6 months. This helped me highlight and really bring it into focus and really take the time to reflect on it, right? So, here's what I'm doing for the second half of the year. I am refocusing on my boundaries and I'm forcing myself into them. I'm going to set up things like timers on Slack and email that actually like lock me out after certain hours so that I don't have an option to go in and do that. I'm going to make sure that we have the right team supporting us. So the right people that are actually taking things, fully off my plate and able to move forward certain channels. And I'm going to get the right guides, processes, etc. in place to support the biz. And one drop that I will say, I'm actually having an event on this exact thing next week with Carolyn. She is a coaching pal of mine, and I'll drop the link to it into the follow-up resources. But she is actually helping me work through these items, right? So making sure that I'm not the bottleneck in my business and that the business can run without me, making sure that I can actually take vacations, sign off at 4 p.m., and have the balance in my life that I want to while still growing the business. We're going to talk about how she's helping me do that and how she's helping me course correct. So I will make sure that you all get the link to that after this event.
All right. So the category this is actually what we talked about in the goal setting, the category of personal growth. So this was something like I set out this year. I have a young child, and I was kind of feeling like, I was getting stuck in the day-to-day of my work and my business and my family life, and I really wanted to put more energy into myself. And so that's where these goals came from in personal growth, right? It's just like expand myself, expand my community, stay more deeply connected. So, what the underlying goals here were I wanted to make sure that I tried something new. Like, I wanted to sign up for a new class outside of the house, just like, again, kind of expand myself, put more energy into existing my relationships, just make more efforts, which I had started to do coming into the year. And this is one that I've actually feel really good about because I have put a lot of energy into this and I am reaping the benefits of that, which is really, really awesome. I had set out to institute a monthly reflection practice, as we talked about in the beginning, kind of the importance of monthly coming back to these goals. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then I wanted to say, I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone. So the way I wrote it was say yes to one thing that scares me every quarter. But as I was going through the reflections, it's a little less about something that maybe like scares me big, but maybe something that I have a little bit of anxiety about. And so I would naturally say no to, but instead kind of stepping into a little bit of that discomfort and saying yes so that I could have more experiences in general. So this is kind of what I set out to do. If you want to go to the next slide, as I mentioned earlier, this year was has not been what I thought it was going to be. So when I went through this, I was like, I haven't hit any of my goals. And then I stepped back and I was like, you know what? I did hit the spirit of a lot of these. So while I didn't necessarily like sign up for a new class, I have been doing new things. And in fact, this year, if anybody's in the Bay Area, I've been going to the Valkyries games. So fun. I love it. I'm now a WNBA fan. I want to get season tickets. I love it.
Love
It still like fulfills that desire, even though if I didn't do it in the actual, to the letter of what I had initially aspired to do. Like I said, I've done a really good job of prioritizing social connections, building some of these new friendships. The as I was going through this, the goal of like setting a monthly journal practice, I just kind of laughed at myself because I was like, I am just not this person. I want to be this person deeply. I want to do this. I want to think that that is something I'm going to do. But the reality is, I'm not that person. So I'm
it.
actually getting rid of this goal.
I love that you bring that up because I think a lot of us are guilty of that, right? We're like, oh, pie in the sky, we can do this thing. And then we reflect back and we're like, that's not actually true to ourselves,
I
right?
know.
Like, sure, like that is a great practice. And I'm sure it's very helpful for a lot of people. I journal a lot. That's great. But if you're like, I've never journaled in my life, I'm not going to start now. I'm not going to do that. It also doesn't bring me ease or any of these other things that I'm looking for, right? Like the fact that you were able to look back on that and say, that does not serve me. Even if I did it and followed through with it, it's still not going to serve me and give the outcome that I wanted. Remove it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
the honesty.
So I've got super cute journals that are just going to sit empty in my drawer.
And that's okay.
Yep. And then lastly, to say yes, the something that kind of scares me every quarter. And I did. I've done, I hate public speaking. Absolutely hate it. I've been doing a lot more over the course of this year and getting a lot more comfortable with it.
Mhm.
The other thing I did is I had a reunion for my grad school. It was like a 25, I'm dating myself, 25-year reunion. I hadn't seen and talked to these people in so many years, and it gave me a little bit of anxiety, right? Thinking about like, oh, I don't know. Are they going to remember me? Is it going to be awkward? And I was like, yep, I'm going to do it anyway. And it was the most abundant, wonderful weekend. I was so glad I did it. So I feel good that I have stayed true to that goal as well. So my focus is just I definitely had some wins. Like as Samantha mentioned, we had some amazing joint wins with Harlow. There's been some really good things that have happened this year. But I think for me, this reflection period is just, it's a reset, right? The goals that I set out at the beginning of the year, some of them just don't make sense anymore. And I don't have the capacity. And so that's my second half of the year focus is really about being a little bit more realistic, just understanding that I'm not going to be able to do all of these things. I need to readjust a little bit. So I'm paring back some of my goals and I'm reprioritizing them as well. So I still have, like I said, the same areas of focus. I want to move through this year with flow and ease. And I'm still working towards it. I think it's just going to look a little bit differently than I thought it would at the beginning of the year.
I love that. I also love um, reordering your goals, right? You're like, life events, whatever it is, has required me to spend more time here. So I know that I have less capacity here, right? And I love your note here of like paring back goals to 2 to 3 per category, right? So you're like, okay, if there are places here that I really cannot focus as much as I wanted to, that's fine. Let's choose the top 2 things, focus on those, uphold those, let the rest go.
Yep.
I love that. Okay. You've heard Andrea and I now, where we met our goals, where we exceeded our goals, what we're celebrating, where we missed, where we're recalibrating. And now it is your turn, right? So I want you to think back, whether in the very beginning of the year, if you came to this event and you actually used the template and used the framework, great. Pull that out. It's time, right? I want you to read back through what you originally set out to accomplish and why and then where you are against those goals. If you didn't set formal goals, if you didn't use our template, that's completely fine. Think about where you were in January, where you set out to go, and where you are against those goals. We're going to take 10 minutes together here. I want everyone to go out on their own and just start the reflections. Where were you trying to go in January? Where were you trying to go at the beginning of the year? Where are you now against that? Why? What's going on, right? What are the things that have come up in your life that are unexpected? What are the things that have come into your life that have completely shifted or pivoted? You know what I mean? There are things like, well, I decided that I'm going to buy a house. So that has completely shifted what I'm focusing on. Or, I had to take on caregiving, maybe for somebody in my family, and that's completely shifted my energy and what I can focus on, right? I had an unexpected move. Whatever it is, take those things into account, right? Write down what's come up for you during the year, where you are against your goals and just take that time to reflect. We're going to take 10 minutes starting now. In about 10 minutes, we're going to call everybody back. And this is going to be an opportunity, if you want to share. So if you want to share, a couple of your goals and what you're trying to accomplish in the beginning of the year, and then where you are in relation to those now, drop those into the chat as you start working through those. And we're going to call some of those out and talk about them. But 10 minutes starts now. Andrea's my timer, so we'll call you back right around 10:55. All right, coming in here for about a 2 minute warning. Continue writing, for the next 2 minutes. Continue jotting down, whether it's in your notebook, whether it's in your notes app, in a Google Doc, in your alignment doc. If you're one of my existing coaching clients, in the Goal Accelerator, we have alignment docs. So keep writing down and reflecting, but plan to come back here in about 1 minute. And Salman, I see you in the chat box sharing your goals for the year and kind of where you were in relation to that. As you come back, feel free to also drop, your goals, whether it's, a couple goals and where you are, whatever it is, feel free to drop that in the chat. Okay, we're at about 10:55. So everyone come back here when you're ready. Write down your last remaining thoughts. Obviously, this is not like the end all be all of your reflection. This is just meant to be like a period to, kind of lean in, keep your notes going, come back to it after the event. But if you are ready and willing, go ahead and drop into the chat. Um,
I
what came
would,
up for you?
yeah, I would love, yeah, I'd love to just get a sense. Maybe, I don't know if we've got good reactions in here or not that people can use. Like, how are you all feeling? Okay,
Yeah.
so taking the look back, like when I first did the look back, oh, I love somebody's got a heart. I love that. When I first did the look back, very first thing I felt was anxiety. I was like, oh no, I failed. And then and then I took a deep breath and was like, no, 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 that's not true. That's not
Yeah.
true.
It's funny. I started with my financial goals. So I started with like a celebration. I was like, this is amazing. I'm meeting all of my
Yes.
goals. And then I started going through and I was like, oh, but I'm doing so at the expense of so many other things. And again, I'm not a growth at all cost person. So mine was like celebration. Oh, I really need to celebrate.
I love this. Colleen just went and checked on her revenue and realized that she's up 8K from last year. That's amazing.
And she has fewer clients and fewer working hours.
It's the life.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes, I love it. Roxanne, you're feeling good too. This is
Hey,
great.
hey, I ain't doing too bad. I love that. Someone dropped things into physical wellness, really messed up. Hey, not too late to
Same.
recalibrate on that, right? Finally moved beyond freelancing and started moving towards startup product development. Someone that's amazing. And I know you've been sharing about that in Harlow Home Base as well, which for any of you that don't know is our Slack community, which is free right now. So I'll make sure in the follow-up that I include a link to the Slack community if you want to join that. It's a great place to share your wins, get connected to job opportunities, all of those things. And Salman is in there with me. So I've seen a few of these updates there. Let's see. Oh, I love this. Allison, I feel like Andrea, you can like relate to this, right? She said she's coming out of toddler years, so she's focusing on reconnecting with old friends and meeting
Yes,
people.
exactly.
Also amazing. In her second year of business, already surpassed her corporate salary. So hell yeah to that.
This is awesome. Okay.
Yes. keep keep sharing here. So as things come up for you, as reflections come up for you, keep sharing here. What you could. This is a great time to honestly like learn things about yourself, right? I mean, who was it that shared? Uh, Colleen, when you said that you're up 8K from last year, like you might have not known that if you went to dug into financials. And a lot of the times we wait until the very end of the year to be like, oh my gosh, where are we? We're exceeding our goals. Oh my gosh, we should be celebrating that, right? As we go and throughout the journey. That's incredible.
Right.
Amazing. Okay. So for the next round of reflection and working time, what we really want to focus is on what things do you want to shift in H2, right? So Andrea and I shared this, right? I told you exactly what I'm shifting in H2. I am focusing more on reinstating my boundaries. I'm making sure that my team has what they need to remove myself as the bottleneck. And I'm making sure that we have the right people in place so that I can actually get more of my time back while maintaining that growth and momentum that we are seeing and experiencing. So I want you to think about for you what you really want to focus on in the last half of the year. And I know a lot of my goal accelerator and revenue accelerator clients are here, and we're going to kind of debrief on this after this event too. But really think through, for the next 2, 3, 6 months, what's most important to you? What do you want to focus on? Go ahead, take the time, write that down. It's 11 o'clock right now. So we are going to come back together at 11:10, and the same thing. As you come back, as you come to, these realizations, drop things in the chat and share it with us. But for now, it's 11 a.m. We'll come back at 11:10. So go ahead, write things down, start building your plan for the last half of the year. All right, I'm coming back in here with our 2-minute warning. So, finish writing down where you won, where you want to recalibrate and how you want to, you know, shift your focus for the upcoming half of the year. And I saw in the chat that, a good way to think about it is stop, continue, start, or scrap, sustain, and scale, right? So, yeah, what are you continuing with in the last half of the year? What maybe didn't show up on your original plan that you want to start doing or start pushing toward? And what do you want to stop? What needs to either drop or recalibrate, or completely shift on your list? So keep working through this for the next minute or so, and then we'll jump back in here and share some of these. All right, finish up your notes that you're making, your plan that you're writing down, again, whether it's in your alignment doc, in your notes doc, in a little pad and paper in front of you, on your phone, wherever it is, finish writing down those thoughts and what you want to focus on for the last half of the year. Um, Lots of sharing that's going on. So a few things that have been dropped in here. Um, this is a great one. Get rid of the distractions, lesser screen time, right? That's kind of been like an ongoing focus for me too, even if it's not directly written down. Build a good quality network with people from different professions. I love that. Let's see.
Yeah, Sarah, I love your focus of like spending more intentional quality time with the kids when you're not working this summer. I feel that I've got a young one at home also. And it's easy for me to just get so heads down into work and take a step back and be like, wait, why am I doing this again? So I feel like that's a great reflection.
Yes. Let's see. Also, I want to pivot and be more intentional, strategic about setting financial goals now that I'm getting into a rhythm. I think that's so great. I think financial goals can be really complicated, right? And a lot of times when maybe we're first starting out or in the beginning of building our business, sometimes it's hard to set those financial goals because we really don't know what we want it to look like. But I think it sounds like you're in a great place of understanding where you've been and what it looks like, and then being able to set financial goals with that like history behind you, right? And some of that like understanding and experience, which is great. What else do we have here, Andrea?
Oh, I love, there's so many in here that resonate with me that I'm like, yes, yes, I feel this. Alyssa, setting boundaries. Girl, I am exactly the same, bending over backwards for clients, protecting your own time, setting boundaries.
Mhm.
Um, Melissa, also, I loved this. You're reframing slow periods as a time for business development, and still working on your business just in a different way.
Yeah, I also love this from Katie. Hi, Katie. In Q1, I focus a lot on education, but now I really need to shift into using that education to drive up and expand my clientele and figure out how to use it to increase my business profitability. I love that. There are absolutely seasons for like getting better at your craft, understanding yourself better, building kind of, laying that foundation. And then there are seasons for building on that foundation and making sure that it turns into revenue that you're generating. So I love that.
Mhm.
Um, I want to start a fall harvest in my garden. Love that too,
I
right?
want to see your garden, Tamika. I love that.
I know
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. I have a lot of people around me right now who are planting like pumpkins for the first time, and I'm really excited for everyone's pumpkins to come to fruition in the fall.
Yes, get ahead of taxes. Totally agree.
Amazing. Okay. Well, keep writing those down, keep sharing them, keep putting them here. Scale my one-to-one practice, get coaching accreditation. Love that. Start calling myself coach without it being taken. I love that
You
too.
are a coach.
Yeah, I talk about getting past the ick a lot with myself and clients, right? Like embrace what you do and own the outcome and value behind it, right? Um, these are awesome. Okay, like I said, keep writing this down, keep sharing here, keep I know we only had 10 minutes here right now, so this really kind of focuses like this is like your foundational layer, right? You're writing down like the thoughts and the ideas, and the next step is to really like build the plan around that, right? So, a couple of different ways that you can do that. I'm going to introduce you to a program where we actually help you. If you came back and you said that your goals are around revenue and clients and building on what you already have, I'm going to introduce you to this program. There's also a path here where obviously you take what you learned today, you take what you wrote down and what you focused on, and you push forward it on your own, right? You build that H1 plan, you start executing against it. But I want to take a second here to introduce you all to the Revenue Accelerator program. I know a lot of people here today are in my current programs. So in our current programs, whether it's the Goal Accelerator, Revenue Accelerator, or previous Growth Accelerator, but we're launching our second cohort of the Revenue Accelerator coming up in July. This is a 13-week program for freelancers who want real accountability, real feedback, and real revenue growth. So I know a lot of you are talking about how you need to get um, more intentional about your business growth. Salman, I saw that you put in there that, you need to figure out, yes, you set a goal, then you need to figure out how to actually bring that goal to life, right? Well, this is about pushing your revenue goals forward, right? Whether you're meeting, exceeding, or just want to grow more, if you're missing your revenue goals and you're not sure why, this program is really about digging in and making sure that you have the foundation for growing your revenue, right? So the people that we work with in this program and others, they go on to hit 20K, 30K, even $50,000 months, right? Because what we do is we focus on giving you the right foundation to actually meet and exceed your goals, right? Again, it's one thing to say that you want to do something, it's another thing to build the plan to actually get there. So what this program actually gives you is a complete and executable marketing and sales strategy, right? So we help you build your offer. So figure out how you actually articulate what you do and the outcome it creates, and do so in a way that you can quote it with confidence, right? So no more saying I'm a coach and that gives you the ick, right? We're going to like embrace this and build our offers in a way that other people can clearly see what you do, nod their head and say, yes, you're the right person for me. We're going to focus on your pricing, right? So we're going to set rates that are rooted in value, right? And make sure that you have the confidence to quote them. So pricing is such an important part of sustainability and making sure that you have the foundation to grow your business while actually maintaining things like flexibility and boundaries, right? Because if we're undercharging, we're overworking, and that's not what we're about here, right? We're going to talk about brand and credibility. So, building the credibility system that actually gets you taken seriously, right? What you actually need to sell your business, build revenue, generate that profit. And then also your client getting system, right? So, making sure that you have a marketing and sales strategy in place that is tailored to your business. So, this program is very expansive. It happens over 13 weeks, but really, really what you walk away with is that marketing and sales strategy and the foundation behind it, right? The foundation that it sits on. The confidence to self promote, right? Backed by results. We make sure that you are confident and you're getting out there and you're iterating and you're promoting yourself and you're becoming visible. You develop a network through this, right? So a lot of you said that your goal for the upcoming, last half of the year is develop a bigger network, develop industry connections. That's exactly what this is about, right? It's not just about tapping into Andrea and I and our networks, which everyone who goes through this program absolutely does. We make connections, we send referrals to you, we make sure that you're seen by our people, but you're also building a group of people that you're going to become very close with and also be able to tap into their networks to expand yours, right? And Andrea and I are with you every single week. So this is a weekly program. We meet once a week for an hour and we go through and we'll teach you the framework. So take offer into account. We teach you the framework around offer. Then in the second week, you actually co-work the group with a group to build your offer. So like we did today, it's actually co-working time. You go out, you all do the work together, and then you share. So again, like we did today in the chat, but you're sharing live and virtually with the people that are there, right? So this is not just about like coming here and listening to us. It's about understanding and learning, going out and doing the work, and then pitching it and sharing it and building the confidence through that, right? So our cohort one is running right now. It's completely full. We actually had 10 spots. We ended up taking 12 people. Our cohort two opens on July 29th. We have 10 spots in that cohort. It's $499 a month. And you also get access to Andrea and I via Slack. So that's where we help hold you accountable. We give you direct feedback, and you really get our perspective on growing your business and meeting your goals. And Andrea, I'll let you add anything that I missed there about the program.
This is my favorite program. I love it. It's and I just can't stress how much the co-working and sharing, how much value that adds by getting to hear other perspectives, different feedback, looking at how other people do things is just hugely valuable to understand, well, would that work for me? Could that help me improve my business? So the community aspect of this is actually the piece that I love the most.
Oh, 100%. And these here on the screen here, you don't have to like read all of this, but these are just a couple of quotes. The accelerator that we're in right now that we're running, I think we're in maybe the fourth week of it, fifth week, sixth week.
Sixth week. Yeah,
Like
we're going into seven.
I'm losing track of time, but this is just in the first like 4 to 6 weeks, what people have been saying about the accelerator, right? So people are already having big wins. People are making more money within the first 4 weeks of working in this group. They're closing new clients, they're raising prices with clients, they're quoting themselves with confidence. There have been so many big wins in this first cohort one. Honestly, it gives me like absolute goosebumps to like see this. These are just like messages that people have sent me in Slack, but there's also like so many conversations happening around this. So, again, if your goal for the upcoming second half of the year is to get serious about your revenue and do so in a way that's sustainable, right? Like this is not, again, we are not preaching hustle culture. And I know that early on when I was talking about my goals, I was telling you all that I'm meeting and exceeding my revenue goals, but not in a way that's sustainable. That's what we're working on here. And this group is a good reminder of that for me. But we are really working on helping people meet their revenue goals while building the foundation for their business that actually allows them to make this into a sustainable career, right? Whether you're a freelancer or a founder, self-employed in any way, what's so important is that you create the right foundation that you can build upon, that you then can go out and get these wins, raise these prices, bring on your next 1 to 2 clients, build the new thing, a new offer that you've been prepping and planning for, right? So this is the how. Today we talked about reflecting on H1. We talked about building your plan for H2, and this is how you actually bring that plan to life. So now, whether it's about the revenue accelerator, goal setting, anything else, we want to spend the next 8 minutes or so just answering questions here. So if you have any questions on goal setting, on the revenue accelerator, on how to bring this to life, with or without our support, Slack community, anything around Harlow, please drop them in. You can drop them in the Q&A or the chat. Um, Anything in there right now, Andrea?
Yeah, Salman just made a comment, that like one of the things he's struggled with is his skills are deeply technical,
Mhm.
technical oriented. And so finding those very specific niche clients has definitely been challenging.
Yeah, so this is one of the really interesting things that we work on in the Revenue Accelerator is this is not like a one size fits all, right? So depending on who your audience is and what ICP you serve, we build your marketing and sales system around that so that you're talking to them in the right places. You're figuring out how to build an offer that actually resonates with them. You're creating your one pager, your website, your LinkedIn profile, your Instagram, whatever it is, in a way that they can resonate and really see themselves in it. We really dig deeply into like, pain points and how we make sure that we're articulating that really, really clearly. So
Yeah.
honestly, like it's a skill, right? It's a skill to develop that foundation and to build a marketing and sales process on top of it. I see a note from Natalia here too that I love that you pay attention to sustainability. Sustainability is at the core of everything that we do for Andrea, for Harlow, right? This again, that we're never growth at all costs people. I know again, I told you that I was in an intentional sprint at the beginning of the year, and I did let some of that sustainability and flexibility and things go to the wayside, but I'm bringing it back, right? And I think that a lot of people see that in their careers. There are moments to sprint and really get things done. Even the revenue accelerator, you can kind of view that as a sprint, right? It's a 13-week sprint towards building the foundation to achieve your goals and then actually going out and to achieve them. But the goal is that once you have that, you're entering into marathon mode, right?
Yeah.
And that you're creating the sustainable flywheel that you're going to continue using to get new clients to build your business and do so in a way that supports your life.
Yeah. And I will say we tried to build this program in a way that was sustainable for the participants, like building and
Yeah.
co-working. So even if you can't get to the homework during the week, you at least have this 1 hour dedicated to focus on the task at hand and to give it the attention that you know it deserves.
Yeah, and actually, just to build on that, Andrea, too, in the first cohort, there were a handful of people that were, I think, maybe concerned about joining and not being able to like come to every session every single week. And that is not how this program is built. Yes, if you can make all 13 weeks and all 13 sessions, great. But this is really about, taking the time, taking that 3-month period to focus on your business. If you can't make a session or two or three, that is totally fine. We catch you up, we bring you along with us. This is like a very cohesive group, and we want to make sure that you're doing it, building and planning in a really, really sustainable way.
Yeah, Natalie, a comment asked the geography of the members. It's actually I think we have some a couple people. It's a lot of in the US, and then I think we've got a couple in Europe also.
Yeah, I have we have a number of accelerators running. So we have our revenue accelerator. We also have a goal accelerator. We also have a growth accelerator. I know that gets really confusing. But I coach people really all over the world. So I've had clients in Barcelona. I have clients in Brazil. I have clients in the UK. We have clients on the East Coast, on the West Coast, in Canada, in Argentina, kind of everywhere in between. So, we really do help focus on a lot of different industries and a lot of different markets. If you have any questions about like your specific region that you're in and whether or not we can help you build that like marketing and sales system, totally follow up with us afterwards and we can kind of dig into it and see if you're a good fit for the program.
Yeah, and then Colleen just asked about the growth accelerator.
Yes. So the Growth Accelerator is actually a previous program that we run. We don't have any Growth Accelerators coming up. So the Revenue Accelerator is the next cohort and program that we're running. It kicks off on July 29th. There's nothing else necessarily planned at this time, but if and when there is, I will let you all know.
Yeah.
I see Growth Accelerator, Growth Accelerator. If you've been looking at the Growth Accelerator, let's chat. The Growth Accelerator is really has what has turned into the Accelerator, which is just like a far more structured path to go down so that you're getting the group benefit and also time with Andrea and I. So, Colleen, Roxanne, I will follow up with you all. We'll follow up with you all so you like have all of the information.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be launching another revenue accelerator in the fall. Our intent is to kind of just continually have one running.
Yeah, no dates yet set, but we will definitely keep everyone updated on
Yeah.
that. Anything else here? Like I said, keep throwing questions in here if you have them. I will make sure that after the call, one, everybody gets this recording, right? Everyone gets the slides. So if you want to go back through and you want to like continue on your reflections, continue on your H2 planning, you can absolutely do that. I'll make sure that you get our original goal setting framework so that you have that in hand. So if you are starting from scratch and just setting your goals, you can start there. And I'm also going to send out my full H1 look back. So you have everything in writing for me. And along with that, we'll send you information on the Revenue Accelerator and how to join. And for those of you that ask specific questions, we'll follow up with you directly too to make sure that you have all of that information. Andrea, anything else to join? We're about 2 minutes here. So anything else to throw in there for everyone here today?
No, I think this was great. It was really fun. I love these sessions because I love getting to know all of you in the chat, and it's just really the community is really powerful. And so this is always great. And of course, we will definitely be doing goal setting in the new year as well. So
Absolutely. If you want to get in this habit with us, we have a goal setting workshop every January, and then we have our reflection workshop every July or August. So if you want to get in there and get on the same kind of track that we are, please do that. We'll make sure that you all have the information to do so. But like Andrea said, this was great. It truly is one of my favorite events. I think, again, goal setting and reflection and recalibrating, it's the foundation that helps us move forward and that helps us live and work really intentionally. And that is so important. Again, coming back to this like word of sustainability that has come up over and over again, right? We're all here for sustainability. We can't sprint for the next 6 months. We got to figure out how to find the right balance to achieve all of our goals and feel good while doing it. If you have any questions that come up later, I'll be sending out a follow-up email, so feel free to respond there. Feel free to find us, whether you're already in our Slack community, you already have my email on social, reach out in any of those locations. I am here to have that conversation with you, and so is Andrea. Cool.
thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.